live now.
Okay, so hopefully everyone can see us. We're going to be doing a live code along. We're going to be looking at the Raspberry Pi Foundation project boat race, which is Scratch. And Scratch, if this is the first session that you've joined, there's a blocks-based programming language. Same principles as other programming languages, but it's simplified down so that kids can really get stuck in. Probably if you're watching us on YouTube, it might be worth you watching this video on your tablet or your telly so that you can access your computer without having to juggle the windows around. So we're going to need two websites. We're going to just type in Raspberry Pi projects. And click on that in Google. And then the other link that we're going to need is Scratch. So that's scratch.mit.edu. And again, I think if we just go to Google and just Google Scratch, see if it comes up. And it's the first one that comes up. So we'll give you a minute just to catch up. So we need Raspberry Pi projects, and we need the Scratch website as well. So joining me again is Ben. I'm John. So we both go to the Wirral code clubs at Wirral libraries. You might have seen me volunteering at Wallasey. There's some volunteers at West Kirby, and there's also we've done sessions at Birkenhead as well. Just waiting to see who joins us. If anybody gets stuck, if you want to put a comment in the YouTube comments, we'll try and answer anything that comes up.
Hello.
Everybody just heard you do that, you know.
Yeah. Everybody just saw you type that.
I know, but I didn't make a silly noise, did I? So, as long as you're cool, everybody's seeing you doing that. All right. So hopefully everybody has got the Raspberry Pi projects and Scratch open. So, what you can do if you want is you can position the browser. So if you grab the tab, and I can't actually do it because I've got two monitors. Okay, what I'm going to do this week is I'm literally just I'm gonna click between. We'll have a look at the project and then we'll have a look at Scratch. Because sometimes having both of the browsers open in a window is a bit awkward. Are you saying something there, Ben?
I was saying that would be very annoying.
All right. Okay, so on the Raspberry Pi projects website, if we go to Code Club, scroll down, go to Scratch and Module 1. So the way that these projects are laid out, Module 1, that's the easiest. Module 2, Module 3, they get more complicated. So we've been working through, and we're going to do boat race this week. The projects are broken down step by step, and Raspberry Pi Foundation make it really easy for us to follow through. Clicking over to Scratch, if we do create, and we've got a new project. So if we click sign in the top right, if you haven't already got a login created for Scratch, if you want to get your parent to do that, you'll need to use an email address to register, a username and a password. Use a username that isn't identifiable. Don't put your kid's name in there, and try and use a password that you're going to remember, because I think every week I see kids forgetting the passwords at the club in the library.
it will over time automatically save your password to the computer.
I don't know if that's the case, mate.
No, it will.
It depends completely.
It usually does it on other sites, and it did it on there.
I think it's dependent. But that's because our computer's set up. So
Yeah.
whoever's watching that might not necessarily be the case.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm logged into Scratch. So the kind of things that you can do, you can change the language, we can do new file, save. I don't know what turbo mode is. Tutorials. Scratch has actually got tutorials built in as well. So as well as looking at the ones on the Raspberry Pi projects website, you can actually use the built-in tutorials. We can give our project a name. So we're going to call it Boat Race Ben.
Hi.
Because you're here.
Okay.
Alright, so we can see that we're logged in the top right. We've got the folder, and if we click on the folder, we can see the projects that we've done in the previous weeks. So just wait for that to load. There you go. So there's the one that we've just created, Boat Race Ben. Okay, so let's start looking through the project. The first page gives us an overview of what the project is that we're going to be doing. So, boat race is you're racing your boat around, and
I think I know what open widget meant.
okay, it doesn't matter, does it, matey? Let's just focus on what we're doing. Alright, and the idea is not to crash into the walls. So we're going to set it up so that the sprite that we're using can detect the walls. And there's the go fast waves as well. And the idea is that we can get all the way around the maze to the beach. And there's a timer in the bottom right hand corner to see how fast we can do it. So there you go. We know what we're trying to achieve. So we've already covered what we're going to need. We're going to need the project, and we're going to need Scratch. It says what we will learn. Use operators to compare numbers in Scratch. Add code to detect when a sprite is touching a colour in Scratch. Use a variable to record the time in Scratch. Alright, so we're going to expand.
Basically just all in Scratch. Because it says in Scratch, in Scratch, in Scratch.
Alright, so move on to the introduction. Alright, so it says open the online starter project at. Alright, so we'd already opened the project, but they've given us a link in the project because we need to have access to certain assets for the project. So what we can do is we can take this project that has been pre-built by the Raspberry Pi Foundation, and we're going to remix it. Alright, so we'll put a tick in that box. It says the project includes a boat sprite and a racecourse backdrop with wood that the boat sprite has to avoid, a desert island that the boat has to reach. So we put a tick in there, and then we'll move on to the next bit. So, Ben, if you want to take over. Alright, so it says controlling the boat. I'll read it out and you do the actions. Alright, so the player will control the boat sprite with the mouse. Alright, so we're going to add the code in that controls the boat with the mouse. Add code to the boat sprite so that it starts at the bottom left hand corner, pointing up, and then follows the mouse around. So we're going to add an event in. When green flag clicked, point in direction 0, go to X. And then we've got XY coordinates, minus 190, and Y is minus 150. Ben, do you know what XY coordinates are?
Well, on a line graph, they're like the bars, but like XY coordinates on a screen, they're like the sides of the screen. So like how far they are from the screen.
Alright, so we just Google and we'll see if we can find an example of X and Y coordinates.
Yeah.
Alright,
like
so
a graph.
can we zoom in? Alright, so if you think of the line that's going across, that's X. The line that's going down is Y. So where they intersect, X would be 0 and Y would be 0. So as we move to the right, that's plus numbers. As we move to the left, that's minus numbers. And it's the same with the Y as well. As we go up, it's plus numbers. As we go down, it's minus numbers. So if we were in the bottom right hand corner, it would be XY minus 10 minus 10. I hope that makes sense. Let's see how we get on anyway. Alright, so if you want to add in the event when green flag clicked, so Ben's just dragging it across into the coding area, and because of the fact that the boat sprite is selected in the bottom right hand, so if you just move the mouse, there you go, you can see where Ben's mouse is, that's the sprite. Because the sprite's selected, we know that we're adding the code to the sprite. Alright, so what was the next one, Ben? It's the motion blocks that we're going to be using. And it was... well, it was the move... was it the move mouse to 0? If you click back to... Alright, so point in direction 0. Alright. Okay, so we'll move that block across, and you need to change that from 90 to 0. So if we just click in, and then you can either type a 0, or you can move the dial. So Ben's just going to type in 0. Alright, so what was the next one? It was go to X minus 90, Y minus 50. Alright, and those coordinates are already pre-filled in on that block, and all that means is that the sprite's going to start at the position that it's currently in now. When the function starts and it starts going through the code block, it knows to position the sprite at the beginning of the maze. Alright, so what's the next one? Just click back to the project, Ben. Alright, so we're going to add a forever loop in. So if you want to add a forever loop, so that's a control. Yeah, so if I click back on there. So point towards mouse pointer. So again, that's a motion block. So the next one is move one step. Okay?
So that would still be in motion.
Yeah, it's right up at the top, isn't it, mate? And if you want to change that from 10 to 1. So can you explain what's happening with the code block? Why is the forever loop there?
So the forever loop is there because I can't really explain, but like if the forever loop wasn't there, then it would just move one step in the way of the mouse pointer.
What's happening with the block is you have the event that it's listening, and it's saying this is when the code block's going to start, so it knows that when we click the green flag, so then it goes through the step of point in direction 0, sets the XY axis. Now they're not in a loop, they're just within the head, so it runs through them once, and then it goes into the forever loop. So once it's into the forever loop, it just keeps going round It says move towards mouse pointer, move one step, move towards mouse pointer, move one step. All right.
That's what it is.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. So, if you want to put a tick in the top right, and what's the next bit of the project? All right. So it says test your code, and that's exactly what you've done. You've just tested it then. Put a tick in. All right. So it says what happens when the boat reaches the mouse pointer. Try out to see what the problem is. Okay, so again, if you start moving around and it's doing some erratic thing where the boat's just moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Which wouldn't happen in real
All right,
life.
so I can see that Wax is here again. Wax, you should probably tell us what your first name is so we can say hello. Do you need us to let you catch up, or are you all right? Hopefully Wax is managed to follow us along. Wax, let us know if you've got any questions. We'll stop in a minute. All right, so if you just click back to the project, put a tick in because we've tested it and we know that something's not quite right. So it says, to stop this from happening, you need to add an if block to the code so that the boat sprite only moves if it is more than 5 pixels away. So we could be really clever and try and figure this out, or we could get it to give us a hint. Do you want to get it to give us a hint, Ben? All right, so the boat should only be pointing towards the mouse pointer if the distance to the mouse is greater than 5 pixels. So one of the things that we can do is it starts off just giving us a little bit of information, but if we want it to really kind of, it'll give us the answer and show us the blocks if we move it across.
His name's William.
William. Hello, William. I'm John. This is Ben. Thanks for coming back this week. All right, so go on, you keep going. So what do you think it is? We need to add an if block. So it's probably a control. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if, yeah, move that across. All right. So, and then we're going to add a distance one in. So maybe that is sensing. Yeah, distance to mouse pointer. So we need to add, here look, this one here, it's the 4th one down.
Oh, yeah.
Distance to mouse pointer. But let's go back and look at what it's asking us to do in the project, Ben. Okay. Alright, so if distance to mouse pointer is greater than 5 pixels, now this is green, so I'm thinking it wants us to add an operator in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. So if you.
I don't know.
All right. So greater than. Do you know what the greater than symbol is?
Yes, it would be one of them.
So it's an arrow pointing to the right. All right. If you go ahead and grab that, move it across. Okay. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, so put distance to mouse pointer in the first section of the operator. All right, so it was if distance to mouse pointer is greater than 5 pixels. Yeah, so change that to 5. That's okay, don't worry about it. Mummy will get it. All right, so let's see. Here we go. So, these are the code blocks you need to add to the code for the boat sprite. If operator, then okay. So that's exactly what we've grabbed. Yeah. All right, and it's showing us that we're going to put the if statement in the forever loop as well.
That's exactly what we've.
We didn't though, did we? Here, look. What did you do?
We've done that.
All right, so we just moved the if statement out. and we'll put the movement blocks in, and then we'll put them back in the forever loop. Are you alright?
Yeah.
Okay, so test your code again to check if the problem is now fixed. Alright, so do you want to go ahead and test that? Okay, so just let the boat sprite reach the mouse, and it's not doing that erratic movement anymore, is it? So, I think we're alright. If you want to go back to the project and put a tick in that box. Alright, so we just wait. We'll wait 30 seconds to make sure that everybody's caught up. If anybody's got any questions, if you want to put them in the chat. Okay, so hopefully everybody's caught up. So the next one is we're going to add some code in so that the boat crashes. So it says, at the moment, the boat sprite can simply sail through the wooden barriers. You're going to fix that now. You need 2 costumes for the boat sprite. 1 normal costume and 1 for when the boat crashes. Duplicate your boat sprite costume and name 1 costume normal and 1 costume hit. So if we go back to here, and you've selected the boat sprite in the bottom, go to costumes. Yeah. So now if you right click on the normal sprite, you need to really... Right, come in.
Oh,
Ben's struggling with the touchpad of the...
Yeah.
Alright, so we've right clicked and we go to duplicate. So it duplicates the sprite. So it's said to call the first costume normal and the second costume hit. Alright, so there you go. We'll put a tick in there. Okay, so it says click on your hit costume and use the select tool to grab the pieces of the costume and move and rotate them. So, if we've selected the sprite and it gives us a preview, and then what you can do is you can go in and you can edit how the sprite looks. So what you can do, Ben, we've chosen the select icon here on the left hand side. We can draw boxes and we can move them. And the other thing is we've got the handle at the bottom, so we can rotate them as well. And the idea is that we're going to make it look with the second costume as though the boat's crashed. Do you want to have a go? Alright, maybe use both your hands. Alright, maybe click on it and drag it out. Yeah, that's it. Do you want me to do it? Alright, so I mean if we haven't got a mouse, so Ben's just finding it a bit difficult. If we had a mouse then it would be easier.
I'm used to using that.
Yeah. Do you have laptops or desktops in school?
We have
You have laptops?
no.
You have desktop, and they've all got mouse and keyboard, yeah? Alright, there you go. So, we've updated the costume, and it now looks as though the boat has crashed.
And it looks as though the boat has crashed.
It does
on
it.
the actual costume.
Alright, so here we go. We're going to put a tick in there. It says, now add code to your boat so that if it crashes and breaks up when it... Now add code to your boat so that it crashes and breaks up when it touches any brown wooden barriers. So, you need to go to bed earlier, mate.
Error. Please use keyframe frequency.
Okay, we don't need to be reading that, mate. Don't worry about it. So there's on the second monitor, there's the YouTube studio, and Ben's reading the error messages on it, which sound pretty daunting, but they come up every week, and I think we do all right. Yeah. All right, so. I need a hint. You need to add code blocks inside your forever loop so that don't do that, mate.
Okay.
So that your code keeps checking if the boat sprite has crashed. And if it has crashed, the code needs to reset the boat sprite to the position. And if it has crashed, the code needs to reset the boat sprite position. All right. So if the boat is touching the ground, so do you think, are we going to add a new if loop in, or are we going to, a new if statement?
Forever,
Alright,
a new if.
let's add a sentence statement in anyway. So we're going to do touching colour, and if we click on the colour,
you can click on it and then...
And we've got the colour picker at the bottom. So we've clicked on the colour picker at the bottom, and then we can move over to the stage, and it shows us a magnifying glass, and we can select the colour. Alright, so do we want to add a looks block in then? Switch costume to hit. Alright. If the boat is touching brown colour of the wood, you need to switch to the hit costume. Say no for 2 seconds. So say and then switch back to the normal costume. So again, we can do switch costume to normal.
Wouldn't it be changed to the
Finally,
coordinates and then...
yeah. I think that's what it's going to say now. Finally, you need to point up and go to the start position. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get it to actually show us the blocks. So it's an if-then statement. So we're going to go to control and if then, and then we'll put, so if touching colour brown, then we'll move those in, and so we need to add them in. All right. So we can go, we'll drag these blocks over here, we'll go right click, duplicate, so that we've got 2 instances of the block. Put the first one back, drag the second one in, and then I think that's it. Do you want to test it?
That's not right.
No, it's not, is it?
Is that because we selected that costume?
Click on costumes again. So one's called normal, one's called hit. Alright.
So then that's saying no, and then...
Alright, let's just go back and we'll have a look at the code blocks that we put in.
Wait.
So, click play again.
If I go off costumes...
Just click play again. Click play again.
And then...
So yeah.
Yeah, so...
Go on, so now crash.
It's going faster.
Okay. Alright, but it's not going back. Alright, so let's have a look. So let's look at these blocks here. And let's see how they compare to ours. So when green flag clicked, point in direction 0, go to start position. Why is it selected everything? When green flag clicked, point in... Chris has just messaged me and he said that we're missing a block from the beginning. So if we put this block in, click start, click go. It's really slow, isn't it?
And then it goes faster.
Okay, so when block clicked, switch costume to normal, point in direction, forever loop. If touching brown, then switch costume to hit. Say no, switch costume to normal. Alright. If touching brown, then switch costume to hit. Say no. Alright. Switch. We didn't have a time limit, did we? Ours literally just says switch costume to normal. So...
Oh yeah, because it does, but it goes...
Say no. Say, here we go. We added the wrong block in. There you go. So we will get rid of this one. Let's give that a go. There you go. Crash.
Yeah, and then
It's not going back to the beginning though. So, this is called debugging. So we're having to go back and we're having to see what we've done wrong. You know what, let's take this block out because this block isn't actually in Raspberry Pi, is it? Do you know what, our if block is inside the other if block? There you go, it needs to be. Okay, did you see that? Did you see we had one if statement nested inside another if statement? So okay, let's put that block in that Chris suggested. Switch costume to normal. Okay, so
it's not going back.
Ben, you read through this with me. Okay. So, when green clicked, point in direction 0, go to
X.
Yeah.
Minus 90.
Right. So ours is slightly different because it's got a switch costume block, but open forever. If distance to mouse pointer 5, point towards mouse, move steps 1. I think this is all fine because it is moving around. If touching colour brown, switch costume to, say no, switch costume to normal.
For 2 seconds.
Do you know what? We've missed the only thing. Thing that we're missing is this block at the bottom, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Motion and.
Oh, you duplicated that one.
I did.
Not that one.
All right. So here we go. Where did it go?
I think you would have to take the...
We just have to add this in, don't we? So it is minus 190 and minus 150.
Wait, but it didn't have to move one step.
Should we go back and have a look? You think that that's wrong?
Yeah.
So you're saying that move one step's wrong?
Because you duplicated the
wrong thing. We've duplicated the wrong thing. There you go. Well done, Ben. So there you go, we've put plus 150 in. We need to put minus 150. Okay. So now, there you go. It's going back to the start position. You're right. All right. What's the next thing? Should we recap what we've done? Should we go back and look at that project again? So, what did it say? It said, now add some code so that your boat crashes and breaks up when it touches the brown wooden barrier. And then we've added code in to put it back to the start position. So, if touching colour brown, then switch costume to hit, which is the second costume that we've created. Say, no for 1 second, switch costume to normal, point in direction 0, go to X minus 190 and Y minus 150. We've tested it and it's working. Alright, so you should also add code to make sure that your boat sprite always starts out looking normal. And we did that because Chris sent us a text message saying add a block at the beginning that makes it look normal. Test your code again. If you're trying to sail the boat through to the wooden barrier now, the boat should crash. And it does. Excellent. Alright, so now add another if statement to your boat sprite code so that the player wins when they make the boat arrive at the yellow island. When the boat gets to the island, the game should say yeah, and it should end. All right.
So it is touching yellow.
Okay, so we're going to add a control.
Say yeah.
And then we're adding an if statement. And we're adding we're adding sensing. And we're doing touching colour.
Why does it have a question mark at the end?
I think I don't know. Alright, so if we click on the green, choose the colour picker at the bottom, and then select yellow. So if touching colour yellow, then, so if we go to looks, and we're going to do, say, yeah. Alright, so I'm going to speed it up. I'm going to set it so that it does 3 steps. So that way, if we test it now, it should go a bit quicker. No. Is it going any quicker?
Wait, so then when
it
touches the speed wave, what will happen? Will it go faster?
We've not got to that point, have we, mate? So here we go. If touching colour yellow, say yeah. Alright, so it's done that.
And then stop all. For 2 seconds and then stop all.
So what's the block? Stop all. Okay, so that's a new block.
It'll be in variables.
Will it?
Yeah, because then you can
I don't think it will.
You'll find
let's see if it's in control. Let's see if it's in
control.
control.
And then you'll find all in.
I don't think it is a variable, mate. I think it's part of the function, isn't it? Here we go.
Yeah.
So, stop all. Okay. Don't forget that this new code needs to be inside the forever loop, which it is. Alright, so
need to tick that though.
We do. Put a tick in that box. Can you add the following sound effect that play when the boat crashes and it reaches an island? So add in sound from the library. Alright, so if we click on the sprite and if we click on sounds up here in the top left, and in the same way that we've got the library for sprites and backdrops, if we click on this icon, and do you reckon there's a sound called crash? There might be. what does it suggest in the project? It suggests a meow. Alright. Sounds are organised by category. You should see this. Right. Trombone. Alright. So, if we go back to the code, and so this is the crash here, isn't it? So if we go sound, let's see what it says in the project. Click the Sounds tab and click Choose Sounds. Sounds are organised by category, and you can hover over the icon to hear a sound. Choose a suitable sound. You should then see that your sprite has your chosen sound. Okay. I mean, one of the things that we can do, I don't know if this is the way that it was intended in the project, but we can just go start sound, and we'll just do beatbox. So so if we move the sound before, we'll move the sound before before the text block. And we need to think about the sequence that it does stuff. So it plays the sound, and then it says no. So now when we crash, it makes that sound, doesn't it? Okay, so add in a timer. Now you will add a timer to your game so that the player has to get to the island as quickly as possible. Add a new variable to your stage. So we are going to go to, do you want to do it? We go to the variables block. Go on, great. Yeah, so somebody's watching just asks if Ben has a tutor once a week, and he does. Yeah. So click on the variables on the left hand side. And so if we do make a variable, and what did they say to call the variable? If we just call it time. Yeah.
Timer.
Click OK. Alright, so is that where you want the timer to be, yeah? Okay, so click on variables in the code tab, and then click on make a variable, which we've done. We have called our variable timer. Type in the name of the variable, timer, and then press OK. Speed. Why have we called it timer? Not to worry. We can call the variable whatever we want. Once you've created the variable, it will be displayed on the stage, or you can untick the variable in the scripts tab to hide it. You can also choose a look for your timer by changing how your variable is displayed. You can also choose a look for your timer.
I think... Wait.
Don't worry about it. Come on, let's just focus on this. Now add code blocks to your stage so that your timer counts up until the boat reaches the island. So know that we're a bit short on time, so I'm just going to look at the hints. On the stage, when the green flag is clicked, set the time to 0. Alright, what blocks do you reckon we need? So, change time by... Alright, they're not telling us the sequence that they need to be in. So, when green flag ticked, go on, do you want to add those code blocks in, Ben? Alright, what was the next one that you needed? It was going to be a control?
Yeah.
Was it? Go.
Wait, no, it will be in variables.
So it was in variables. So set time.
Set timer.
Yeah. Right, was that definitely the one? So set time to 0.
And then forever.
Yeah.
Wait 0.1 seconds.
So go ahead and add a forever loop.
Would that be outside or?
I think so, yeah. I think it's just the next one in the sequence, isn't it? So I don't think the timer is in the forever loop, is it? No, the timer's
No,
in.
it's not.
Alright, that variable. Alright, so move that up. Should we click stop?
Yeah.
Alright, so
then
wait 0.1 seconds. Yeah, go on. Add that in. So that's an event. Or it's a control rather. 0.1 seconds. Yeah. So then change time by 0.1. Yeah. So that's in variables.
Oh, I keep going on to the other one.
And I think, is that it? So if you click play again, click play. So now we can see that the timer on the right hand side is counting up. Awesome. So put a tick in the top.
I really hate that noise.
And then, so what's the next one? Test out your game. Awesome, we've done that. Let's put a tick in there. Obstacles and boosters. So right now the game is far too easy. So you will add some things in to make it more interesting. Firstly, you'll add some boosters to speed things up. Edit your stage backdrop by adding some white booster arrows. So if we, on the bottom right hand corner, Ben, if you click on where it says backdrops, just here.
Don't worry
about it. It's confusing, isn't it? Let's click stop. So here we go. So bottom right hand corner, we click on the backdrop, and then in the same way that it allowed us to edit the sprite, it will allow us to. Will it? I don't know. Where has it gone? Backdrops. There you go. So we've clicked on. Sorry.
Yeah.
We click on where it says backdrops. So if we just click on the paintbrush, and then we're going to choose the color. We've got these sliders. So we want to choose white, and then we can literally just draw some speed boosts onto the map. Okay, so alright, that's what we've done. Let's put a tick in there.
Randomly. I was singing a song in my head and then
alright, so now add more code blocks to your boats forever loop. So if touching colour of a wave, then move 3 steps. So we've actually already got ours running at 3 steps. So we're going to set it so that it's slightly faster. But if we add, so we go to the boat, and we will add a control, and we will add a forever loop.
Wouldn't it be in here?
Wouldn't it be where?
No, I said wouldn't it be in here?
So
not forever loop.
Sorry, yeah. I'm saying forever loop. We're adding an if statement, aren't we? And we're not going to nest it inside another if statement. We're going to try and. Are we adding it? Do you reckon we can add it in last? We'll just add it in last and see what happens. So if sensing touching colour, and then we will select the picker at the bottom and just mouse over the waves. Alright, so if touching wave colour, and then motion step. Move.
You're on the other monitor.
I know. Here we go. So move 10 steps. Alright, so now if we click play,
Yep.
and we've noticed that when it goes over the waves, it goes a lot faster. Okay, so what's the next thing? Test your game. Yep, it certainly does speed up. Next, you'll add a spinning gate so that the boat has to avoid it.
A spinning gate.
Alright, so add a new sprite that looks like this and call it gate.
Just a straight line and call it gate.
That's it, it does. It just looks like a straight line, doesn't it? So we do sprite and then... So we've gone to
the top-down view, so...
We've gone sprite in the bottom right and we just do paint, which gives us a blank sprite canvas. If we choose rectangle, and we can just... That's the wrong colour, isn't it?
If you go reddish, do brightness and saturation.
Alright, don't worry about it, Ben. So, that's much too big. Can we change the size if we go to... Okay, so we've got the sprite selected. Okay, so... make sure the colour of your gate sprite is the same as the colour of the wooden barriers. Alright, so if we go... How do we do that? If we do paint bucket, no, fill, picker. It's not allowing us to choose it though, is it? What do you mean?
It just... something started.
It's just the fan on the computer, mate.
Okay.
Make sure that the colour of your gate sprite is the same as the colour of the wooden barriers. Do you know what we can do? So I think this is how we're going to do it. We're going to go... We will click on the background, and then we will go fill, and then we will go to the picker, we will select the brown, so that's fine, that's what's selected. Now hopefully when we go back to the barrier sprite, it's still set to brown, which it is. So then we choose the paint bucket, and now the spinner is also brown. Awesome, we figured it out. Make sure that the center of the gate sprite is positioned in the middle, and it is. So what we can see is if we click on the sprite, does it allow us to move it around? I don't think they did, mate. I think it's just the wind. Okay. I know that it's in the middle because I positioned it in the middle before. What I'm expecting to happen is to just be able to click and drag it. Not to worry. Hopefully yours is in the middle as well. If it's not, let us know. We'll figure it out. Add code to your gate sprite to make it spin slowly forever. Alright, so when green flag clicked, forever, turn 1 degree. So, go back to code. We've selected the sprite in the bottom right, so we're going to do an event. And we're doing when green flag clicked. We're going to add a control in, we're going to add a forever loop. And then we're going to do motion. 10, and we're going to change that from 50 into 1. So now if we're clicking on the block, we can see every time we're clicking on that block it runs through the code and it shows it what it's going to do. Alright, so I think if we go, there you go, if we click play we can see that the gate's turning. So put a tick in. Test your game. You should now have a spinning gate that you
need to
stay your boat around. Sorry, yeah, I didn't think it made sense, but it does. Awesome, it does. Challenge, improving your game. Alright, should we just quickly test it? Here we go. So we're driving through. If we go into the side walls, it crashes. And as we go over the waves, it goes faster. And then we need to... Oh no, we crashed!
There we go. What just happened? There we go. I'll do it.
Give us a minute. We'll get there, we'll get there, we'll get there.
What was that?
Here we go!
You were supposed to crash into it.
Something's broke. It didn't say yay! Alright, we've actually reached an hour and I'm out of time, so I'm not going to be able to go back and look at that. But let's just pretend it worked. Okay, so it says challenge. So these are things that you guys can take away and do on your own. It says, can you add more moving obstacles to your game? For example, you could add a green slime to your backdrop and make changes to the code so that the slime slows the boat down. You could add more moving obstacles, for example, a log or a shark.
Or a plastic bottle.
Yeah, or a plastic bottle. There's bits of plastic floating about there. You can turn your game into a race between 2 players. The second player will need to control their boat using the up arrows. Can you create more levels by adding different backdrops? And can you then allow the player to choose between levels? So there you go. There's some stuff for you guys to take away. You know, if you guys want to share what you've done, if you want to take a photo, or you can actually share your projects in Scratch, get your mum or your dad to post the link on our social media, Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, you know, and we'd love to see what you're doing. So, we're going to move on to Module 2 in Scratch next week, which, you know, we're getting more and more complicated as we go on, so hopefully you guys are learning how to use Scratch. We're going to post details of when the session, the day and the time it's going to be next week, so hopefully you've enjoyed that. Did you enjoy it, Ben? Yeah, awesome. Alright, and we'll see you all next week.